Hello, this is the Civic Duties and Responsibilities, Section A, Democracy in America lecture. Our prioritized standard is Government Civic Standard 2. Objectively, we're going to analyze the findings of Alexis de Tocqueville's Democracy in America. Alexis de Tocqueville, not to be confused with Taco Bell, wrote Democracy in America in 1835 that discussed his observations about the American way of life and its government in action. Now, originally, he actually came to investigate our prison system and wrote a book about that. But after having visited, determined that, hey, there's something special about America. So he went on another journey prior to writing his Democracy in America. De Tocqueville viewed democracy as an equation that balanced liberty and equality. So you have a concern for the individual as well as for the community, being amazed at how much equality had become part of American life. He cited the U.S. as an advanced example of equality in action, with its society where social class did not matter, and all expected to be treated the same. So this actually made us very different, radically different than the rest of the world at this point in time, because most of the world had aristocracy, where essentially power is in the hands of a privileged ruling class or government by the best individuals. But everyone had equal say in this country. Now, they did note the irony of the freedom-loving Americans' mistreatment of Native Americans and also our embrace of slavery. So he did actually note that was a little ironic for the freedom-loving Americans. Americans have liberty from arbitrary government control, meaning Americans have protections from the government. Also, the U.S. is ruled with popular sovereignty, where people actually hold the power, the ultimate power, to change unpopular laws. And oftentimes that's going to be through elections and also majority rule. He saw our embrace of religion as key to preserving of our democracy, believing that the separation of church and state actually allowed religion to grow in the U.S., not actually weaken. De Tocqueville saw America as a land where hard work and money-making was the dominant ethic, where businesses operated with very limited government regulation. So generally speaking, in America, when Americans see someone with great luxuries, they think that through hard work, they will soon have enough money to possess these for themselves. So generally speaking, we're not super envious of the Donald Trumps of the world. We just feel like it's just a matter of time until we are also that rich too. He saw Americans as much more optimistic about what is possible than other people. Kind of this idea of American optimism has become part of an essential feature of the American dream. Also, Americans were guaranteed great individualism, where people had the opportunity to pursue individual goals. He marveled at the large number of people active in public affairs. He observed Americans forming associations to promote common interest. He saw Americans active in the political process at all levels. He saw them busily planning local projects, choosing representatives, assembling to criticize leaders, taking part in town hall meetings, voting in massive numbers. Should point out at this point in time, voter turnout's closer to 70%. Now that number is closer to 50%. And also notice that Americans were captivated by the presidential election whenever it did roll around. While de Tocqueville admired much about Americans' way of life and its democracy, he also feared that some of these characteristics could threaten the long-term success of the United States. He suggested that the massive equality in America led many to reject intellectual superiors to the point of promoting mediocrity. So you could make the argument that all these people were the ones running for office, yet the two that we had to choose from might not have been the top options. He felt superior men, meaning the highly educated variety, avoided elected office and instead pursued private ambitions for profit. He believed that those seeking political office were often poorly educated and also open to corruption. While he admired American individualism, he warned that if people became so self-centered as to ignore everything but its own affairs, meaning embracing things like materialism and selfishness, it could result in majority tyranny, where the rights of minority groups were suppressed to the benefit of those in the majority. He thought the large numbers of associations, the press, and the courts in the U.S. actually helped to check this threat, so we don't have mob rule because of our press, the courts, and the different types of associations we have. De Tocqueville believed the health of a democratic society was measured by the quality of functions performed by private citizens. So therefore, he is encouraging that people actually should actively take part in our democracy. So this concludes our Civic Duties and Responsibilities, Democracy in America lecture. Again, our prioritized standard was Government Civics number 2, and objectively, you can now analyze the findings of Alexis de Tocqueville's Democracy in America.